So now that we've covered the server structure and functionality and implementation, it's time to turn our attention to the client structure and functionality. And we're basically going to look at the LockManager test, in particular focusing on the new and improved features that we've added in here to use the Spring HTTP interface mechanisms. So this will also look very similar to what we've done before in the sense that we create a lock API, and the lock API is going to use the Spring 6 declarative HTTP interface features, which are new and improved and really cool. We have the same method names as we did with the previous approach, also very similar to what we would have done with retrofit. However, the features we're about to show here are not supported by retrofit. Retrofit, for some God knows why reason, cannot handle fully reactive types. And it's really annoying. And I spent way too much time at one point trying to figure out how to make it work. It just doesn't work. But who cares? Now this stuff is built into Spring, so the heck with retrofit. We don't need it anymore. And you can see here that what happens is these calls now, these are the proxy calls on the client side, they return the corresponding reactive types that the controller and service are emitting from the server side. And so that is just a mirror image. That's the really nice thing also about the Spring HTTP interface. It really mimics the same approach that you would see with the controller side. The only real difference being that instead of saying post mapping or get mapping, it's post exchange and get exchange and so on and so forth. But otherwise, it looks very similar. We have path names, same thing as on the controller side. We have the annotations for the request body and the request param, same exact thing as on the server side. I don't think I strictly need to put request param here for the acquire that takes a permit count, but it didn't hurt to be consistent. So that's it. This is so cool. Now we've got asynchronous capabilities on the client side. And just like we'd done in the previous example, when you want to make this work, you just make a builder bean that makes a lock API, and we annotate it the way you'd expect. And then we use the web client builder to give ourselves a web client. The web client is the general purpose programming abstraction that's used in modern Spring for both synchronous and asynchronous communication, but we're focusing on the asynchronous stuff here. And then we go ahead and take that web client, which ordinarily would require us to do a lot of coding by hand to build up the paths and make the requests. And then we wrap it up in this HTTP service proxy factory, which then will allow us to make an instance of the lock API class that then can be used as a direct proxy. Super cool, super clean, much more convenient than what we saw when we were doing things previously with having to hard code this stuff. So that's the end of the client side structure and functionality. We're now going to take a look at the code.